And we'll get started with Dave. First question for Doc. Start with Dylan down in the front on the left.
Dave, when Buehler got that Lindor with the bases loaded there, I kind of thought back right to the Seager home run earlier this year, where full count, kind of similar situation. He went to the fastball. Today he threw in, comfortable going to the off speed. How do you think he kind of got to that point, from being that, okay, I'm going to just throw it past you to, a guy who was comfortable throwing off speed in that situation?
I think it's been a lot of lessons that he's had to learn, and understanding the pitcher he is today, and also appreciating the fact that you just can't give in to Lindor in that moment. And that's something that, is a learning lesson for Landon Knack from the other day. And so right there, that was the pitch of the game. Obviously, the crowd was into it. They were gaining momentum. And to get the breaking ball down below the zone and get a great hitter out was huge. And I think that's just kind of speaks to experience.
Fabian?
Yeah, just to follow up on that. Were you surprised when you saw it was a curveball there, full count?
No, I was kind of thinking along with him. It was the right thing. And I thought, this entire postseason, I think Will Smith is doing a fantastic job catching the baseball, calling a game, not trying to get too predictable and appreciating the game score and all that stuff. So he's done a great job with the starters, relievers, and it was just game management.
What's the biggest thing you've learned about Walker as he's just gone through this process, trying to figure himself out again and trying to figure out, all right, what works, what doesn't, and those kind of big spots?
I think a couple things. Obviously, he's sort of had to, I guess, reinvent himself. And I say that in a complimentary way, to still be a really good major league pitcher. Obviously, this year was very rocky, trying to kind of get back from a really major surgery. And, I think the other part of it is that, it's easy to be to ride when the wind's at your back. That has been when he's going and riding really well. But, when there's some adversity, you get kicked in the teeth and you lose confidence to then reset, to come back and still stick it out. That's something for me that I don't think he's ever had to do outside of having a surgery. So that's something for me that speaks to his character. And, you look at kind of in June or July, I don't think anyone could have seen him in this position right now. So it's a credit to Walker.
Mike in the third row.
Dave, how much did Kike's home run change the complexion of this whole game?
Immensely. We found a way to get lucky and score a couple runs early in that second inning. But for Kike to have that at bat, 8, 9 pitch at bat, get a ball up in the zone and hit a homer, that was huge. That was enormous. I thought it gave, Walker a little breathing room. I thought it allowed for me to use the pen, and then it allowed, guys like Shohei to kind of catch a breath and extend the lead. And obviously Max had a huge game, continues to get on base, gets big hits. But the Kike homer, biggest hit of the game.
And how much did Shohei's homer sort of change? Obviously, it changed how you use your bullpen tonight, but it seems almost more important moving forward.
It's important for Shohei, certainly, to build some confidence. I think that's number one. And number two, yeah, you mentioned, Mike, when you're in a long series, kind of not having to have Blake go back out there for another inning, not having to use Evan tonight or Hudson tonight, and then allowing Ben Kasperius to go out there and give us 2 huge innings, those things matter.
Take 2 more for Doc right here in the front, and then go to Barry to finish up.
Understood he threw 90 pitches, but was Walker not going to face the lineup a third time? Or?
I didn't say. I didn't know how the game was going to play out. I just felt that after each of the innings that he threw, there was a lot of stress, and so for me, that's all he had left.
And how was Freddie feeling?
Freddie's fine. I think we got through it, and my expectation is he'll be in there tomorrow.
Barry.
Hey, Doc, considering all the imaginations of what you've had to do with the pitching staff, what does it say that you have 4 shutouts now in the last 5 games against two of the best hitting teams in the National League?
The guys are, I think, Mark Pryor, Connor, Danny Lehman, Bardo in the pen, the players themselves, obviously. I mentioned Will, what he's doing, controlling and kind of, being the jockey for these pitchers. These guys are locked in, and they understand they have a job to do to prevent runs. And I think we're playing good defense too. That's a big part of it too, Barry.
So what does this do for your pitching moving forward?
We got Yamamoto and Jack, so I feel good where we're at right now.
All right, thanks, Doc. We'll see you
Thanks,
tomorrow.
guys.
All right, we'll get started with Kike. We can start with Mike in the third row on the left.
Hey, Kike, how is the wind affecting fly balls out there tonight? And did it put some doubt into your mind after you, hit that one in the sixth?
So right before, during BP, Clayton McCullough, first base outfield coach, he came and talked to me about how they did a study or something about the wind here, and in the first 3 innings, I believe, or till 9 p.m., something like that. The wind will go straight from the first base dugout to left field, and then after that it would just shift the other way, kind of to right center stream a little bit. And I didn't think it was true after Lindor hit me a fly ball in the first inning, and I almost overran it because the ball started coming back. It didn't make any sense to me that the wind was supposed to be blowing to left center if the ball came back towards center field, but all the other fly balls played true. And then as far as my homer, I knew that I hit it, and I thought it was going to be way gone, and I saw Nimmo try to jump for it, and I kind of panicked for half a second, and I don't care if it was an inside the park or a homer's a homer.
As big as that homer was, how was it just as big to get on base in front of Shohei? Because you might have heard he's a little different hitter with runners on base.
Yeah, definitely. As hitting ninth is a little bit different than hitting eighth or seventh or eighth with that guy behind me. We've all seen the difference of the at-bats with runners on base and nobody on. So, first 2 bats I was pretty, kind of upset that I wasn't able to get on for him. And third at bat, the whole mentality was to try and get on base, and especially after 2 strikes, I was trying to battle it to put myself in a position to either get on, walk or get a hit. I swung at a pitch that was probably head high and was able to foul it off. And I told myself to slow down because I caught myself in swing mode, and the very next pitch he hung a split, and I was able to get enough on it.
Go 4 rows up on the middle aisle.
You said in the locker room that Walker likes the big stage. I'm sure you've been asked this, but you do very well in these situations. What allows you to fare well on the bigger stage?
I've talked about this a lot. I do a lot of visualization at night, the night before the games, and I try to put myself in every position, of every situation that you can come up with during the game, and I visualize myself having success over and over against their entire pitching staff and things like that. But also the fact that I've had a pretty good track record in October. I can't help it, but bring me confidence, and it just makes you believe that you take your game to another level. And I try to take it one game at a time, and I'm glad that I was able to contribute to the win tonight.
We'll go 1 more row back across the aisle.
Kike, right over here. Mario Solis, NBC, Telemundo, Los Angeles. Te estás ganando fácilmente el apodo de Señor Octubre. ¿Qué te hace tan peligroso durante esta parte de la temporada?
Pues no sé, mano. Octubre a través de los años ha sido algo que ha sacado lo mejor de mí. Y una vez tú te salen bien las cosas en octubre una y otra vez, pues tú empiezas a creértelo y se convierte parte de ti. Y yo diría que la cantidad de oportunidades que he tenido de jugar en postemporada, ya esta es mi 9ª postemporada, y yo no estuviera aquí hablando en este podio acerca de esto si no fuera por los equipos en los que yo he estado. Esta es mi octava postemporada con los Dodgers y tuve una con los Red Sox. So, yo diría que ha sido un poquito de suerte también de estar en equipos buenos y equipos que constantemente van y juegan en postemporada.
Come up here in the front, first row.
Enrique, felicitaciones. Te
Gracias.
tengo una buena noticia que te va a sacar una sonrisa y te va a sentir muy orgulloso. A propósito de eso que te preguntaban de la postemporada, te convertiste con tu cuadrangular en el cuarto jugador nacido en Puerto Rico con 15 o más honrones en la historia de la postemporada, uniéndote a tus compatriotas y amigos Bernie Williams, Carlos Correa y Carlos Beltrán. Me encantaría que me dijeras qué sientes de estar en esa etiqueta de jugadores tan importantes, compatriotas tuyos.
Orgulloso. Los tres otros que mencionaste son caballos. Yo diría que todos ellos mejores jugadores que yo. So, estar en una misma lista que esos tres individuos, pues para mí me trae mucho orgullo.
¿Qué te hace tan especial en la postemporada? ¿Por qué te consideras un jugador importante o crees que has resultado ser un jugador importante en postemporada? ¿Qué te lleva a eso?
No sé, o sea, yo diría que tiene que ver un poco con mi sangre y con ser puertorriqueño. O sea, nosotros jugamos en Puerto Rico juegos desde niños que son, como diríamos, juegos calientes y desde que uno es niño tienen los padres, las madres en el equipo contrario cantando canciones y haciendo sentir que son juegos grandes, que son juegos importantes. Y no sé, llevo poniéndome en esta situación desde niño, soñando y soñando y soñando estar en esta oportunidad y de que me salgan las cosas bien. Y gracias a Dios, pues, me han salido las cosas bien. He tenido momentos buenos, he tenido momentos malos, pero gracias a Dios, pues, los momentos buenos han sido más. A ti.
Fabian in the second row.
Yeah, Kike, I know he's in the room right now, so it's maybe a little bit awkward to answer, but what have you learned about Walker just as he's gone through this year?
Oh, no.
Everything that's sort of come with it.
Oh, no. Couldn't ask this question the first one
My hand was up.
before you got here? Who else? Who else? You know, I don't care what, you know, there's certain players that like the spotlight, that like that like playing in October, and those guys, I mean, I can attest to that. It don't matter what the regular season looks like. When this comes, we start over, and we start at zero, and we do it one game at a time. And this guy has, you know, proven year after year that, you know, when there's a big game and the Dodgers need a win, he's the right guy to be on the mound. And, you know, every time he's on the mound, especially in October, we feel good about our chances. And he had to dig deep tonight. You know, he had to battle it out, but he got the job done. He got the contact when he needed the contact. He got the swing and miss when he needed the swing and miss. And yeah, the only thing that I'm kind of bummed about is that we weren't able to score a couple of runs in the fifth inning to allow him to go out there one more time and try to get the W. But I'm sure you guys will get an Instagram post from him saying W or who else. So enjoy that.
All right, with that, we'll let Kike go.
Thank you.
All right, first question for Walker. Start with Dylan in the front on the left side.
Hey, Walker. When you got Lindor there in the second inning with the bases loaded, I kind of thought back to that Seager at bat earlier this year where kind of similar situation, close game. You challenged him with the fastball. Just kind of wondering, how'd you kind of make that, right, we've been talking all year about kind of you finding who you are, to go from being that guy that tried to throw it past Seager to, here feeling comfortable throwing the curveball in that situation?
Yeah, I throw what Will puts down. I think this series and this playoffs, I think, is as in sync with the pitching staff as Will has ever been, and he's calling really good games. And, I trust what he sees more than anyone. I trust what he sees more than I trust what I see. And so I think that, that's just a tip of the cap to him.
When you started this journey back from the Tommy John, you talked about wanting to pitch in games like this. Just kind of simply, how fun was tonight?
Yeah, it's everything to me. We talked about it before the San Diego start, the big games or me being in big games. That's literally all I care about. And the way Kike talks about our team having some sort of confidence when I pitch, regardless, I think is kind of really the goal for any starting pitcher. You know, there's the stats and free agency and all of the shit, but I just want 25 guys in the locker room that believe that I give us a really good chance to win. And if I've created that in our locker room somehow, that's probably what I'll be the most proud of when I'm done.
Go to Fabio in second row.
Just to go back to that Lindor at bat, do you feel like that's something maybe pre-surgery that you probably would want to try to throw a fastball in that spot?
Oh, in 2018, 19, 20, I would have thrown a fastball. I mean, there's no, yeah.
And then I think I noticed that you went to the stretch right after that first Lindor at bat. What sort of made you want to sort of just wind
my
up?
right foot moves in my windup, and the mound, it being cold, it's always pretty hard here, but especially when it's cold, it's extremely hard. And the first 3 throws of the game, my foot, I had no idea where it was. So in the stretch, I'm able to kind of set it and not worry about it. So we kind of audibled pretty quick.
And when the bases are loaded there in the second inning, is there a place that you go to mentally or anything that you kind of have to channel to be able to sort of get out of that spot?
Yeah, the fear of pitching the way I pitched all year, I think, is probably probably where I channel it from.
Crystal in the front row on the left, far left.
Walker, congrats on the win. Crystal Rich, KTLA. When you just look back and think about what you've been through in your career, 2 Tommy John surgeries, you come out here in a huge road game, you pitch 4 strong innings. Can you just talk about the meaning, what that means to you after so much that you've been through in your career?
It doesn't mean a whole lot much more to me than winning Game 3 of the NLCS, but you know, I think later down the road it may mean a lot to me. But right now I'm going to enjoy tonight and then get ready if we have to play a Game 7. And I think when you're in these playoff things, everything gets really blurry and really fast. And you know, today was a good day for me and for our team. And sometimes I think they feel bigger than they are. Like, if we come out and play like shit tomorrow, we won't care about how good we played today. So I think we kind of saw that in LA. We get the big Game 1 win, and then the second game doesn't go our way, and now it's 1-1, right? And so to have an advantage in the playoff series is huge, and I always talk about momentum in the playoffs, whether it's an inning or a game or a series, and this is definitely a big momentum win for us, but if we don't do something with it, then it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
And speaking of that momentum, everyone wants to go back to this moment because it was huge. Bases loaded, you strike out Lindor. What did that do for your momentum and for the team?
You know, for me personally, it's huge. I think the last time I really made a pitch that in the playoffs that kind of got it through was 2020 against Atlanta, kind of a similar situation. So, yeah, I think when you talk about the surgeries and the road and all of that stuff, I think being able to make a big pitch in a big spot is kind of the last thing that you check off, but the one thing that you want to check off more than anything. And tonight, that was a big deal for me.
Let's go 5 rows up in the middle aisle.
Walker right here. I saw the stat that you now have the second most postseason starts in Dodgers franchise history, just behind Kersh. All the pitchers that have come through the Hall of Famers, Newcomb, Koufax, Drysdale, Fernando, Hershiser, for you to be second on that list and giving your team so many victories in the postseason, even after missing the last 2 postseasons, what does that mean to be in that company?
I honestly, I think that's a team stat, just to be honest with you. We've been in the playoffs every year that I've been here and healthy at least, and I've been very fortunate to get the ball. And, you know, the trust thing or whatever we kind of developed through the years to let me have the ball. You know, this year is kind of a pretty good example of that just because of the way the regular season went. But, yeah, it's a cool stat and a cool thing, but to me that's about our team.
And lastly, Doc has said you've had to almost relearn how to pitch coming from this surgery. What has been the biggest difficulty or the thing that you've learned the most in kind of relearning how to come back out here and be you again?
That on 3-2 with the bases loaded, I got to throw a curveball now instead of a heater.
Jake on the right side, about 4 rows. Yep.
You had the most swing and misses tonight that you've had in a start since October of 2021. I'm just curious, did you feel tonight, did you feel on the mound kind of the way you did before the injuries came?
No, I think in the cold the ball acts kind of different and can move really big and do some crazy things. Honestly, the only point of pride I've had in the past couple months has been trying to get deep into games and be efficient. And so to only throw 4 innings is kind of like the complete opposite of that. But I'm proud just for a different reason in terms of being able to get through some big spots and tough spots. But it's just one of those things. I try not to give in the playoffs, especially, and sometimes that leads to a pitch count problem or walking more guys than you typically would. But this game in October is about having zeros, and I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do that 4 times.
Take 2 last ones. We have one in the middle on the left, and then we'll finish up here in the front.
Walker, your curveball tonight had a different profile to it. The spin was down, and it was breaking differently. Mm-hmm. Did you tinker with your grip at all or change anything, or was it the cold, as you said, creates a different movement profile?
Yeah, as I said, I think the cold really affects the ball weirdly. The ball moves really well here, obviously, or kind of always has, and I think the cold just makes the ball kind of act a little bit funky. I don't know Severino's typical metrics, but his were really, really good as well. And so, our relievers that came in when I was looking at their big boy metrics, and I don't know the crosswinds and what happens, but all 5 of my pitches were kind of a little bit bigger or weirder or acted different than normal. I don't think it was just a curveball, but it's just an interesting environment to pitch in here in the cold.
Finish up right here in the front.
Is there anything specific that you worked on after your outing against San Diego, and after that start, how much more pressure was there, knowing that you were going to have to be back on the mound, and most likely?
I don't think pressure is kind of the right word. It's so overused, but pressure is a privilege, and talking about how many starts I've gotten to make, like that's the privilege part of it, right? I've gotten to do this a lot of times, and these games certainly get me excited, but they don't kind of overwhelm me like they used to when I was young, my first couple starts. So, I'm just fortunate to be a part of this organization and a part of this team specifically.
All right, thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Walker.
guys.
Appreciate it.